My name is Linda Hayes. I'm 63 years old and I never thought I'd be sharing this story, let alone living it. I spent most of my life quietly, surrounded by my books, my garden, and a soft-spoken husband named Robert. We met in our late 40s, both divorced, not looking for adventure but for comfort. He had 2 children from his previous marriage, and I had a daughter of my own. We married and blended our families, though given the age of our kids, it felt more ceremonial than parental. They were grown, living their own lives. Robert's son, Jeremy, had a son, Ethan. Ethan was 19 when everything changed. I didn't know Ethan well. I'd only seen him a handful of times over the years, Thanksgiving, Christmas dinners. He was quiet, polite, always had headphones resting around his neck. He had those deep, introspective eyes that made you feel like he was carrying secrets he'd never speak. I never gave it much thought. To me, he was just another teenager. Things shifted when Jeremy called, asking if Ethan could stay with us for a few months. He had started college in our town but couldn't afford the dorm fees anymore. Jeremy and his wife were facing financial difficulties, and I sensed an unspoken tension Jeremy didn't want to address. I glanced at Robert. He shrugged. "We have the spare room," I said. "He's family." When Ethan arrived with his duffel bag, he looked different, taller, leaner, and carrying himself like someone who had witnessed too much too early. He gave me a polite hug, called me Grandma Linda, and thanked me for letting him stay. First, everything went smoothly. He was respectful, tidy, and even helped with groceries and yard work. I was surprised by how grounded he seemed for a 19-year-old. He had a quiet presence, always reading or typing on his laptop. I caught myself watching him sometimes, not inappropriately, just curiously. He'd suddenly become a part of my life, part of my routine. One weekend, Robert had to travel to Seattle to visit his daughter. It was the first time I'd be alone in the house with Ethan. I didn't think much of it, till there was a flutter in my chest, nerves maybe, or simply unfamiliarity. That Friday evening I made pot roast. Ethan sat at the table, complimenting the food like it was a gourmet meal. He made me laugh, truly laugh, for the first time in weeks. After dinner, we watched a movie, just an old comedy on TV. Nothing significant. But something in the air shifted. His presence filled the room in a way I couldn't explain. Not inappropriate. Just intense. Like he truly saw me. He listened when I spoke, asked about my past, my dreams, my regrets. No one had done that in years. I found myself opening up more than I expected, telling him about the art classes I took before marrying Robert, the novel I started and never finished, my strained relationship with my daughter. He listened like it all mattered. Over the following weeks, we found a rhythm. Morning coffee before his classes. Evening walks. He fixed the broken fence without being asked. But what stood out most was how he made me feel, not just as his step-grandmother but as Linda. A woman with layers. With history. With a voice. One afternoon, he came home early while I was in the backyard wrestling with a stubborn weed bush. I slipped, twisting my ankle. He rushed over, lifted me effortlessly, carried me inside. Gently. Carefully. "We need to ice this," he said, sprinting to the freezer. As he wrapped the ice around my ankle, his fingers brushed against mine. And I felt something I didn't want to admit. For the next few days, he helped with everything. Cooking. Laundry. Even brushing the dog. His care was overwhelming. And with every glance, every moment, the lines between comfort and something else began to blur. Then came the night I'll never forget. It was late. I couldn't sleep. I was in the kitchen under the soft glow of moonlight. Ethan walked in, also restless. We sat at the table, sharing leftover apple pie. I laughed at something he said. He smiled, really smiled. And suddenly I didn't see a boy. I saw a man. Then he said it. "You deserve more, Linda." I froze. "What do you mean?" "I see how you live. You give everything to everyone else. But when was the last time someone gave something back to you, something real? I couldn't answer. My chest tightened. He placed his hand gently on mine. It lingered. Warm. Steady. I didn't pull away. That was the moment everything changed. Nothing physical happened. But something inside me shifted. A boundary crossed, not with touch but with feeling. He cracked open a part of me I thought was long buried. In the days that followed, I felt guilt, confusion, longing. Not because I wanted something forbidden, but because I had awakened. I began writing again. I pulled out old canvases and brushes. I started remembering the woman I once was. "You're glowing lately," he said one morning. "It's beautiful." I didn't know how to respond. I just smiled. When Robert returned, I welcomed him back warmly. But something had changed. Eventually, Ethan moved out. He found a job and rented a small apartment near campus. Before leaving, he handed me a small package. Inside was a notebook. On the cover it said, "Start again." "I think you've got stories to tell," he said. "Don't stop now." Tears welled up. I hugged him tightly. Our bond, however unusual, wasn't scandalous. It wasn't shameful. It was human. He didn't betray me. He didn't cross a forbidden line. What he did was far more powerful. He reminded me who I was before the years dulled me. He saw me, and in doing so helped me see myself again. So no, I never imagined my step-grandson would do this. But I thank God he did. 'Cause he brought me back to life.